Welcome to another IELTS reading explanation video. Today I'll be explaining a second attempt at domesticating the tomato. This is from book 17, test 2. Let's look at our first question type. This is match the section. And we have NB, you may use any letter more than once, which means one section could be the answer to one or even two or three questions. Let's look at all of our questions. We don't want to choose these words like reference, explanation, example, comparison as our key phrase. They are explaining what type of answer we are looking for. And we don't also want to choose tomato as our key phrase because this is in the heading. So we are going to choose a dangerous infection is our first key phrase. For question number 15, we are going to choose focusing only on a certain type. A lot of students think problems could be our key phrase, but if we look at question number 14 and 15, a dangerous infection is already a problem, so we are not going to choose something that is less specific than other key phrases. For question number 16, we are going to choose not cultivated as present. As I said, we cannot use examples as our key phrase because this basically means names of plants in the passage. And since we are talking about domestication of plants, food sources would be quite useless key phrase. Question number 17, we are going to choose early versus more recent research. For question number 18, we are going to choose the flavor as our key phrase. Let's look at the first section. For this kind of question, rather than trying to solve question by question, you want to solve paragraph to paragraph. Before we begin searching the passage for our answers, rather than trying to understand each and every paragraph, remember we only have 5 key phrases for the questions. Our first key phrase is a dangerous infection. Our second key phrase is focusing only on a certain type. Our third key phrase is not cultivated at present. Our fourth key phrase is early versus more recent research. And our fifth key phrase is flavor. You can either choose to read the whole section A, which starts from over here. It covers more than half of the first page, so I don't think it's wise to read the whole section because most of the students they won't understand what is actually happening in section A. So just read one paragraph at a time. And if you read this paragraph, you will see that it says it took 300 years to learn how to domesticate the wild tomato, whereas now it has been done again in less than 3 years. They are basically comparing previous domestication of tomato against recent domestication, which is question number 17. So our answer to question number 17 would be A. If we did not have this specific line here, NB, you may use any letter more than once, we would directly jump to section B and start solving from the first paragraph in section B. But since we have this here, we have to read the rest of the paragraph as well. For second paragraph of section A, there isn't anything special about this paragraph, so you can read this paragraph, but it doesn't link to or connect to any of the answers. A lot of students get confused when they come to third paragraph of this section because they talk about one disease and there is also word resistant, which seems quite similar to question number 14. But if we look at question number 14 again, it says a type of tomato that can resist a dangerous infection, whereas this paragraph talks about this disease which is related to wheat crops. So this is not the answer to question number 14. And the fourth paragraph in this section talks about how little amount of crops we use, and the fifth paragraph talks about copying the domestication process of some of the crops. As you might have guessed, we don't have anything else to connect with section A. For section B, the first paragraph is useless, whereas in the second paragraph, they talk about taking a single plant with mutation from a larger population for breeding and how this causes loss in genetic diversity, or A common example could be the tomato strains grown for the supermarket have lost much of their flavor, which means if we focus too much on one single type of a plant and breed them, we are going to lose some of the desired effects of that plant. This is focusing only on a certain type of plant. Okay, you might think that that could also be the answer to question number 18, because if we look at question number 18, we have flavor is our key phrase. But even though they talk about the flavor, this is not a personal reaction. This is just a general observation. So this cannot be our answer to question number 18. Our answer to question number 18 is in section C, third paragraph. They are quite tasty, a little bit too strong and very aromatic. This specific paragraph in section C shows a personal reaction by one of the researchers regarding the taste or the flavor of a genetically modified tomato. That would be question number 18. So the answer to question number 18 is C. Similarly, in section C, last paragraph, they talk about creating a strain of tomato that is resistant to a disease called bacterial spot race. A strain means a type, and they are talking about tomatoes in this paragraph. So C is answer to another question as well, which is resisting a dangerous infection. The last question is the last key phrase is not cultivated at present, and we can find that in section E, second paragraph. If you look at this area, they provide example of foxtail, oatgrass, and cowpea, and these are wild plants, which means they are not cultivated at the present. Our answer to question number 16 is E. Now that we have solved question number 14 to 18, we are going to move to question number 19 and 23. This question is from Match the Researchers. Question number 19 to 23, they are not in order, whereas the list of researchers are always in order. Rather than the list of researchers, it could be something else, but for now we have list of researchers. Since we are matching people with their statements, in the passage we are going to look at the name first and we are going to see if they have said something in that section. Okay, let's begin with the key phrases. When searching for key phrases, you always want to make sure that they are unique, they are different from other questions. And an easier way to select key phrase is to select noun, or if you do not find any noun, select the topic of the question. If we are solving fill in the blanks, true, false, not given, or multiple choice question, you could always go for number, name, or something that is inside inverted comma. For question number 19, as I said before, we don't want to choose domestication as our key phrase because that is in the heading. So we are going to choose future environmental challenges. For question number 20, we are going to choose unusual plants. For question number 20, we are going to choose made public, or in this case, not made public. For question number 22, we are going to choose limited by cost. For question number 23, a small proportion of the plant food. If you look at question number 21 and 19, we have the word future in both sentences. So for question number 19, the more important thing is to remember environmental challenges. Let's go back and search for the name of these four researchers: Yor Kutla, something Gao, Joyce Van Eyck, and Jonathan Jones. Okay, before we begin searching these statements in the passage, make sure you remember them. The first key phrase is environmental challenges. Second key phrase, unusual plants. Third key phrase, not made public. Fourth key phrase, limited by the cost or cost itself. And the fifth key phrase is small proportion. In our first section, we have Yok Kudla and Gao. And in the second last paragraph, it says we are using 15 crops out of 50,000 edible crops. That is a small proportion. So the answer to question number 23 is A. A lot of students think that I'm writing A because this statement is found in section A. It's not the case. I'm writing A because it was said by Yo Kudla, which is option A in our question. If we look at the statement by Gao, this person basically says that we can copy the domestication process, which is not relevant to any of the key phrases. For section B, we do not have any name, so we can completely ignore this section. In section C, we have Kudla, And I think that's the only no name we have in this section. It talks about the taste of the tomato that has been genetically modified. And if we look at our key phrases, none of these key phrases are related to the taste of the tomato. Let's move to the next section. We have Joyce Van Eyck, which is option number C in our question. If you look at what this person says, they talk about how this research could not work further. It would be quite expensive, which means they are limited by cost. That is question number 22. So answer to question number 22 is C. Even though answer itself is in section D, Joyce Van Eyck is option C in our question. So we are going to write C in our answer. The remaining three questions will be from section E. We have Gao, we have Kudla, we also have Jonathan Jones, that is option D. Jonathan Jones talks about obscure plants, or as the question number 20 says, unusual plants. So the answer to question number 20 is D. And Gao talks about drought and heat tolerant and as the planet warms, which means future environmental challenges. The question number 19's answer is B. And the last paragraph talks about how Kudla didn't want to reveal the details about his research, which means he did not want the information about the research to be made public. The answer to question number 21 is A. Let's look at the remaining questions. Question number 24. Undesirable trait caused by mutation that can be found in section B. The question is talking about losing something, and if we look at section B, we have lost. We have lost again in this part of the section. When they use words such as would be replaced by for instance, and in this sentence they are talking about the loss of flavor. But if you look at the previous sentence, they talk about loss of genetic diversity, but the question is specifically asking for the example itself. So we are going to choose flavor as our answer. For question number 25, as I said before, an easier way to search for fill in the blanks answer is to prioritize number, name, and something within inverted comma. For question number 25, we have 3 times in the question. So what we are going to do is we are going to the passage where we found answer for question number 24, and we're going to search for words relating to 3 times. In the last paragraph of section B, there isn't any reference to any of the numbers. In section C, we have 5 times, twice, but we are not looking for this. We are looking for 3 times, which is tripled. We're looking for 3 times, which is tripled in the passage. By modifying one gene in a tomato plant, researchers made the tomato 3 times its original. What do you think is the answer? Its size, 3 times the size. For 26, we're going to choose vitamin C, because we know in section A the researcher Gao is from China, so we don't want to use that word again. Vitamin C can be found in section C. Right after tripled, if we go down, we'll find vitamin C, which is a very specific word. A type of tomato which was not badly affected by dash and was rich in vitamin C. Not badly affected by. So what did not work on the tomato? If something is not affected, it could be called as tolerant. What kind of tolerance is it? It's salt tolerance. The answer to question number 26 is salt.